Hi, this is Lauren from LSP Actions and welcome to the video tutorial for the Little Love Stool digital background shot by Anna Brandt. Unlike a flat JPEG, this digital has 5 different background options for you to choose from, meaning you can create 5 different images. You'll also notice you have an optional texture layer too, and you can further add your own editing layers to the background to change it to suit your images and your style. Upon download, you'll notice that this is a zipped folder. This means the file is compressed for easy download. You'll need to unzip or extract the file before you can use it. You can do this on Windows by right-clicking, Extract All, or on Mac using Archive utility. And inside the folder, you will find the multi-layer digital background as a PSD Photoshop file, the video tutorial, and the PDF guide, which is filled with tips and tricks you can use when shooting for this digital. So let's get started. I'm going to open up the unzipped digital here in Photoshop by going to File, Open, and this will just take a moment to load up into Photoshop because it is a rather big file. You'll need to be able to view your Layers panel. If you can't see this, come up here to Windows and choose Layers, and your screen should look a little something like this. Over in your Layers pile, you will see you have the base layer here, which is just the plain stool with nothing else on it. The painterly white fabric, the scrunchy pink knit, pink curls, and the white curls. So you can decide which one you want to use, which one's going to best suit your image, and normally you will base that decision upon what you've shot baby on, whether you shot baby on something curly, something fluffy, something smooth. It's really important you shoot baby on a white background, having white behind baby's head, because this is a very high key, slightly off-white digital. It's going to make your editing a lot easier if you shot baby on white. If you haven't shot baby on white, you can still use the image, but you're going to have to really zoom in when it comes to cutting out the baby selection and work quite hard on your blending to make sure you've added shadows and things in the right place. But I'm going to give you a few examples of how to add baby into some of these different layers. You can turn these on or off by clicking this little eye icon here, which indicates the layer's visibility. So as you can see, I'm just clicking these on and off to decide which one I want to use. And you can always add baby in first and then click through these and decide which one you want to use as well. You have a lot of options when it comes to editing this digital. So let's get started with adding baby in. It's important that you've edited the baby first, so don't just add a straight out of camera image in. Make sure you open that baby image up separately, fix the skin, remove the jaundice, do any of your normal editing, remove any distractions and things like that. You're also going to make sure your image is slightly brighter than perhaps you normally shoot unless you are a high key photographer. So really bring those brights out without blowing out the whites, and perhaps add a little more contrast to your image, and that's really going to suit the digital. But you can add some extra editing layers in too once you've added baby, just to tweak them to suit the digital. And to make sure you don't save over the original digital background, you can always re-download it from the LSP website on your account if you need to, if you accidentally do. But just in case, come up here to Image and choose Duplicate. And what this will do is create a brand new version of the image, meaning you can close the original digital background down without saving over it. So I'm just going to hit OK there. And you see at the top we have a copy, so I can go ahead and close this one. Okay, I'm going to use the LSP digital background Photoshop actions to add baby in, but if you don't own these actions, you can come up File, Place Embedded and choose your baby image. It will be basically the same. Okay, so I'm going to choose to start with this image here, shot by Anna Brandt. When you've placed the baby image in, you will need to resize to fit the digital. You're also going to want to check that the light is coming from the right direction, because nothing gives a digital background away more than the light coming in a different direction on baby than it is to the digital. You can see by the shadows here, this digital was shot with the light over here to the left. So make sure the light matches in your image. If it doesn't, you can right click and choose Flip Horizontal to make sure baby lines up. So I'm just going to add baby in roughly in the right place and hit enter. The actions will add a black layer mask for me. If you're not using the actions, you can do this by coming down here, this little box here, which looks a bit like the Japanese flag, a little circle in it. Click on this one and it will add a layer mask to your image. A layer mask is a little bit like a scratch card, a lotto scratch card. Black means hide and white means show. You can invert the layer mask, black to white, which means we're deciding to show or hide the baby. I'm going to have the layer mask on black, choose a brush, set to white. I like to use normal mode, 100% opacity and 50% flow. and you can start painting the baby image in. If you use Photoshop Creative Cloud, you can also use the Select Subject option, which gives you kind of a rough cutout of your subject. Let me show you how to do that. So come up here to the wand. You may have Object, Quick Selection or Magic Wand, it doesn't matter which. Remember, this is only available in Photoshop Creative Cloud. And choose the Select Subject box that appears at the top bar. Sometimes it works really well and other times it doesn't, but it's always worth a shot. So now, because it's put marching ants around what it believes is the subject, and it's done quite well, it means I can really quickly paint baby in, which makes life a little bit easier. Control or Command D to deselect. So you can see here baby was shot on an off-white, kind of a neutral fabric. So I believe the best background to use for this one will be the painterly white fabric. If your baby was shot on a fabric that really doesn't match anything, which you might find if you've bought this digital and now you're kind of going through your baby images trying to find one to practice with, do try and find one that's shot on either a white curls, pink curls, knit, white fabric, or a base that you can add in yourself, because that's going to make editing so much easier. Because this baby was shot on a similar fabric, I can use a white brush. I'm going to just take the flow down a little bit, and I can bring back a little of the original background here by painting onto this layer mask. And that means any of the original shadows that were in the baby image will remain intact, and it means I don't have to paint fake shadows in. You can see there. So the original blanket baby was on is blending quite nicely with the painterly white here. So we see before and after that. If you're using the actions, you can play next, add the main baby editing layers, or if you're editing by hand, you can use adjustment layers below the baby and above the baby to add shadows in. For example, below the baby, click below your baby layer. Down here, this little circle, you can click this and choose the levels or a curve to darken down the image, to add shadows or brighten up underneath the baby. Again, Control or Command I to create a black layer mask, and you can use this to paint underneath the baby. If you want to add an editing layer directly to baby, perhaps you want to brighten your baby image up, change the colour balance or anything like that to suit the digital a little more, you can again use an adjustment layer here, perhaps hue and saturations, change the colours, colour balance to tweak, let me show you here, colour balance to tweak, perhaps these shadows here are a little bit in the greens, so I'm going to choose shadows from the drop down and move it a touch into the magentas, perhaps into the reds and yellows just to suit the digital. Control or Command I to invert that layer mask. If you're not used to using layer masks, it's really worth knowing how they work if you use Photoshop a lot, because it really is a game changer. So if I'm going a little bit fast and you don't know what layer masks are, do get over onto YouTube and have a look into layer masks and how you can use these to mask and edit using digital backgrounds. If you own the digital background composite set, this also comes with 3 video tutorials and a PDF, which really gives you a lot of information when it comes to selecting your subject and using layer masks to add adjustments. I'm just going to play the lift and lightning one that's set up for me by the actions here, but again you can create levels or curves just to brighten baby up a little more if needed. So let me just close down this group here, see before and after. And once you're finished adding baby, you can come up here to File, Save As, and save this as a JPEG for your clients. So that's the end of video 1. In the next video, I'm going to move a little bit faster and give you some other examples demoing different baby images that were shot on different fabrics and how you can use the background in this image to adapt to your baby image. So I'm Lauren, thanks for watching, and I'll see you over in video 2.